Hi, everyone. I'm Rivera's son. I am the program coordinator for Campaign Nonviolence. I use she, her pronouns. And Action Week is coming up September 18th through 26th. There's going to be 4,000 plus actions and events happening across the country and around the world. And as you know, COVID's not over. The Delta variant is on the rise, and we want you to be as safe as possible while still getting your actions done and getting your message out. So I'm here with my colleague, Reverend Jerry Monroe Maynard, and we are going to talk about COVID protocols for during Action Week. Want to say hi, Jerry?
Hi. It's good to be with you again, Rivera. And I am an action organizer in Houston, Texas, and I use he, they pronouns. And it's fun to be a part of this series with you and to talk about this really important information about COVID protocols for demonstrations, because just because COVID is this doesn't mean that injustice just suddenly stopped. Like injustice is continuing and it's aggravated by COVID. And so it's good to remember that we still can practice bravery and creativity in the work of justice.
Absolutely. And getting creative is what it's all about. So we're fortunate in nonviolent struggle and nonviolent action because we're incredibly versatile. We have hundreds of tactics in our toolbox. And we even have a whole theory about, when the going gets tough and we don't want to put our bodies all in one space, whether that's because of cops cracking down or counter protesters or something like COVID, we have a whole other set of tools and tactics that are called dispersed methods, where our bodies are far apart from each other, but we're still continuing to take action. And these, some of them we've seen this year, things like going virtual, right? So if you're going to hold a rally in a public space, you could also hold a rally for your people on Zoom, right? You could give those great speeches, you could energize a group, you can even put a call to action to contact a power holder into the chat box and have them all do it right then and there. So think about if you need to go digital, if you need to go virtual, how you can plan and organize that to be as exciting, as uplifting, and as effective as an in-person rally on the street.
I also think too, Rivera, along the whole lines of creativity and practicing bravery in our actions during this time of COVID, we really have a big tool that's kind of staring us right in the face, and that is art. And art has in many different movements. I think of like the movement of outpour, or in the 1980s with ACT UP, using creative, artful actions like statues, using statues or large images to not just create a visible disruption of the normal day-to-day mundane activity of going back and forth in this transitory life that we're forced to live, but it also challenges the imagination, which I think is deeply a part of the work of justice. It's helping us to see beyond the world that we currently have, and see beyond the horizon to the new world that's possible that we're giving birth to. And so having statues or large pictures standing alone, also, if you do that, put them up at night so that people in the early morning can see it when they're going to work or whatever they're doing, can make a really big impact. And it's something that is not done very often. So it's always fun to see people who do it.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things about these times of the pandemic is that by getting us out of our habits, we may actually have greater impact. And I love that idea about going out at night and doing a little stealth action that surprises people in the morning. First of all, nobody's out at night. And if you want to sidewalk chalk nonviolence quotes down the block, everybody getting up in the morning and walking their dogs with their little coffees is going to be like, wow, cool, look at that, right? You can also, as Jerry said, put statues or signs, like you could hang signs up on fences, you could paint little rocks and stick them out places with little slogans on them. But you can also put symbolic objects. We know the climate protesters put out their shoes in public spaces to represent themselves when they couldn't go out in person. We know that there was a big action on the Washington Mall where they put out actually chairs, empty chairs, to talk about how many people had died during COVID. So get creative. Think about how can you make your message heard, how can you make a stand, how can you get people's attention without actually having to be there physically and in person.
Yeah, and I think things like that help to also create a disarming message or a disarming impact on people. Um, People respond differently to art and to other things like that, especially if it's something that kind of eases up upon them. And so in the long run, when we talk about like creating a spectrum of allies, we oftentimes can win over more people through subtle, provocative art that eases up a message onto somebody. And so I think this is a wonderful time to live in the fact that we can really utilize these creativities. And I hope that people, when they're organizing for the Week of Actions, that they will tap into this wonderful creative flow and help advance our movement just a little bit farther down the line to bending the art towards justice.